Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. Let's meet your hosts, Chris Angel and Michael Maher.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Referrals Podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, Michael Maher. Michael, welcome.
Welcome. It's awesome to be back. Let's do this, right? Like Referrals Podcast. Can you believe it?
I love it.
We made it through a couple, and we three's a trend, right? Three's a trend. We're on trend worthy.
We're on fire right now. We are trend to fire. I love it. Well, today we're talking about how to start a referral relationship, which seems obviously appropriate for the Referrals Podcast.
Yeah.
So walk me through that. Where do we go?
Well, what I like to do is honestly, some people that are getting on this podcast are probably thinking, some of them might be thinking, who the heck is Michael J. Maher, right? And maybe not, right? And they can Google that to learn more. But I think another part of it too is a lot of the time from the first couple of episodes is people are thinking, I need to know this Chris Angel more, right? Who is this guy? What's he doing? And I love that he's partnering with Michael Maher on this, and I want to get to know Chris Angel more. But here's the honest to goodness truth as well is that I want to get to know you better. So I think that the bottom line is I'd love to just ask you questions, let the audience get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then also just really hopefully model, on, how those questions would be and how the start of the relationship would go. Right.
I love it. Okay.
So I think the big thing here is let's just assume we're doing a Zoom call between two people who are looking to maybe perhaps do business with each other, right? Let's say you've been connected to me by someone who runs a networking group, right?
Yep.
And so he thought we should get together and chat, and then we'll just roll from there. If you're good with that, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I love it. This is great. Everybody should know, this is unscripted. Michael is not giving me questions. I have no idea what's coming, and I love that from a place of this is how I guess you would do it. So fire away.
Listen, I think that's one of the strengths that I bring to this podcast and to the world is that I actually do what I teach. Right? Nice. I do what I teach. I teach the day before the birthday call. I do the day before the birthday call to influencers in my life and my Catalyst coaching clients. And, I have an event-based business, right? Yeah. And I teach people how to have an event-based business and how to generate a lot of referrals through events. We just had an event literally 2 weeks ago. I got 66 referrals at one event, right? Wow. And it's like I modeled it. I did it, right? I ran our system. What's funny is early on, Referco was kind of fledgling, right? Because we were trying to figure things out. And honestly, I wrote 7L so that to answer the question, I thought 7L would be the end of all the questions, right? Just like, I've got a question. Right. I just say, go read 7L, housewarming party, go read 7L. Day before the birthday call, go read just read 7L, right?
Yep.
But what's happened is all the questions open up, and we were playing catch up, right? Some people write a book and they know what the back end is going to look like. We didn't. But what's interesting about that is it's one of those where then about 2.5 years in, we were kind of like thinking, wow, we should probably run the 7L system to run Referco. Right. We were trying to run it like all the other speaker companies. We were looking at the other, trainers and things like that and looking at what they were doing. And then it was like, you know what, we should probably implement the 7L system. And then as soon as we put 100% full force into running the 7L system in Referco, all of a sudden the referrals blow up, the business blows up, and we're into another stratosphere with our company. So I think that's something that people are going to love with Referrals Podcast forever is that, this isn't theory. This isn't something I heard somebody did at one time. And this isn't something that I never did, but I think you should do. Yep. Right. This is 100% stuff I do. That's and powerful. Not only here's something I do, but hey, listen, here are the intricacies that make the big difference. Right.
Yeah, I love that.
So So I think that's it's a really good point to make, is that, listen, we're going to implement, we're going to do, we have people who have done everything we talk about on these episodes every time we do it. So I think the first thing is in the next 20 minutes or so in this conversation, right? How can I make this conversation the biggest win for you, Chris Angel, right? How can I make that the biggest win for you? In the next 20 minutes, what can I do to make this a big win for you?
Well, I mean, I'm just talking out loud. It's unique for people to be able to see who I am. Like when people can really get my unique value, I feel like they're at a better place to understand what I do.
Okay.
And I think sometimes what I do is unique, so it's hard to always put it into words. So if you're able to see that and then put it into words so others can benefit from what it is that I think I have to offer this world, then that would be amazing.
You know what? I love that answer, because I think that's one of the unique talents that I have, right? Is that I am genuinely curious. So I'm going to be asking deeper questions than, hey, what do you do? Right. And then we're done. Yeah, right. So I'm truly genuinely curious, and if we can cut to that chase, right? If we can get to the spark that's inside of you, and I can reveal that to the world a little bit and shine it up and make it even more diamond-like, then that's a win for everybody. That's not just a win for you or a win for me. That's a win for all of our listeners. So I think right off the bat, let's get to know you a little bit better, right? So family, do you have family? Is it okay if I ask you questions about family?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So family, married or children or?
Yeah, I've been married 18 years this August.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I know. Met my wife in college.
So August, what day in August?
August 5th.
August 5th.
Their anniversary.
Oh, awesome. 8/5 of 2000?
Yeah. 8/5.
No way. You got married in how smart were you? Right? So it's like it's easy. It's 18 years. Well,
I know, exactly.
What year is it? 2019. It must be 19 years. Yeah. I like that.
Many times. Yeah. It served me many times.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We have two kids. My son is 13.
Okay.
My daughter's 12. She just turned 12. They're 20 months apart.
So you're about ready to have two teenagers.
Yeah. They're awesome though. I love, if I think about the things I've done the best in my life, like my wife, my kids are right up there with some of the best things I've ever done. So
that's awesome. And your 13-year-old, what's his name?
Tyler.
Tyler or Kyler?
Tyler with a T.
Tyler?
Yep.
Okay. And Tyler's 13. What's he into? What's he like to do? Fortnite?
He watches a lot of, actually he likes to work out. Like he and I have been working out for like 3 or 4 years. So
love it.
He likes his physical, he likes his abs. He likes his muscles. He's really into that right now.
Yeah. I used to be in that too. And then I can't find him anymore. So
I'm
not into him as much as I was before, So I don't take my shirt off half as much as I did when I was 13. Right.
Yeah, he's liking his tank tops and, anyway, it's cool. It's a fun bonding experience.
Yeah, back in the day, like 13 through high school, it's like shirts and skins was like a thing. Right. Now it's like fighting words, right? Like, no way I'm being skins.
Yeah.
It's like, that ain't happening.
Yeah, right.
So 13-year-old, he's into weightlifting. Does he have a bench press yet? Is that is he doing that kind of thing?
He's more just bodybuilding. So he's not measuring like PRs or anything like that. Yeah. He's just more doing the how do I sculpt my body and my muscles and
so he's reading all the old Joe Weider books and the Arnold Schwarzenegger books and that thing, right?
Well, now he's into watching YouTube videos and some
that's a lot easier.
Stars. Yeah,
I remember having all the bodybuilding Bible by Joe Weider, and so that's awesome. Yeah. So is he? How many protein shakes is he up to a day?
Right now because he's 13, like he just eats like whatever he wants, anything like all of it, anything. So
nice. That's good. And Tyler plays sports at all? Is he interested in sports?
He's not really a sports guy. He's a smart, intellectual guy. So he likes reading and he's into. I wouldn't say he does a lot of games on his phone, like apps and stuff. Yeah, but it's not like Nintendo, like like I had back growing up. But.
Yeah. And then your daughter's name, and she's 12.
She's 12. Her name's Maya.
Okay, M-I-A.
M-A-I-J-A. That's Swedish.
M-A-I-J-A.
Mm-hmm. Maya.
Maya.
Yeah, Swedish.
Okay. All right.
My wife's best friend in college was Maya, and so that's her namesake.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
What's Maya into? What's she like to do?
She's a creative soul. So she, she'll do photography, and she loves to organize stuff, and she likes to hang out with her friends, and,
interesting.
Fashion. Yeah.
Their birthdays close to each other. When are their birthdays?
Maya's in June. Tyler's in October.
Okay.
Yeah.
What day in October?
October 11th.
Okay. So 10, 11. And Max's birthday is October 25th. So that's what I asked. So their birthdays are pretty 2 weeks apart. Yeah, he's 9.
Oh, nice.
9. Yeah. Yeah. And then how did you and your wife meet?
I was a senior in college. She was a freshman, and she came into campus one day and said, where do college kids go to church? And the lady at the bookstore said, talk to Chris Angel, or ask Chris Angel. And she turned to her uncle and said, I'm going to marry that guy someday so I can have his last name. True story.
Ask the angel. I love it.
Yeah, true story.
I love it.
And so anyway, so she found me somehow on campus, and, had this perky little attitude about her, and that caught my attention, and
nice.
The rest is history. So
where'd you meet? I'm sorry.
We met at Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington.
Okay. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then, so Tyler's really into the weightlifting, and sounds like you do some of that with him. And then Maya's likes to do the crafts. So I'm guessing you do some of that with her. What do you do for fun? Like is there a hobby or a side talent or something like that you enjoy doing?
I'd say golf, because I played golf for my school, my college. But I kind of got burned out on that. You just play so much golf in college that you're like,
twice a day, right? 18 to 36 a day. That'll get it. So
now I'll play like one to 3 times a year, and it's not very much. But beyond that, I think I just get really geeked out on personal development. Like if I'm not actually doing work in my business, I'm reading a book, I'm meditating, I'm doing something that is like trying to take me to the next place and crack the code of how do I get my purpose out in the world. So it's an obsession really for me.
What's the one right now that you're doing? Like for me, about 7 years ago, meditation came into my world, right? And it wasn't a thing where it just kind of came and went. It came and dominated my thoughts, right? I immersed myself in meditation. What's been kind of the self-improvement or the self-growth or that type of thing that's really caught fire for you right now?
I've always been a journaler, so journaling's always big, reflecting through my thoughts that way. Meditation has been good to create space in my mind. It's not as much a spiritual practice as it is a just mindfulness, getting my head clear practice. I think maybe I'd say this. I don't know if this is really going to answer your question, but I think the thing that is having me sort of break through right now is getting really honest with the reality of my life, right? So I'm the kind of guy who will go through, I'm very positive. I've always been positive. Yeah. And what I do is I have usually big vision, so I can see down the road of what I want. And then if you look at my current reality, it's not anywhere near what I can dream, because I can dream pretty big. So what I'll tell myself is, it's okay. It'll be all right. Like I'm almost there. Like it's happening. It's coming along. Yeah. And in the process of sort of like telling myself it's okay, I don't actually get very honest about what's happening in my life right now.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, with my workout stuff, for 6 years, I was working out at home.
Yeah.
Right. And I grew some muscle and stuff, but it doesn't take 6 years to get a six pack.
Yeah.
Right. And I'd be like, okay, I'm doing good. I'm doing the workouts. I've tried different diets. I've tried all sorts of things. And I just keep telling myself, it's okay. Things are okay.
Yeah.
And then I just started getting really honest about April. And I'm like, okay, the reality is that I've worked out for 6 years and I'm still not having any definition in my abs. Something clearly is not working.
Yeah.
And so then I decided I would just hire a trainer for a physique competition. So he tells me, eat this, lift this. And I was now accountable to somebody else's program rather than trying to be smarter than it all and trying to figure it out. And I've had more results in 17 sessions than I've had in 6 years. So
welcome to coaching, right? I mean, there's the power of coaching and accountability, but you had to be coachable, right? So
that was the thing. That's why I'm loving right now, just this whole thing about what's dominating me right now is getting very honest, like almost scary, transparent about what's true in my life. If you look at any of my Facebook posts on my personal profile, every day I'm posting something that feels very vulnerable to post.
Yeah.
And I just don't care, because what I'm doing is putting out to the world, I'm giving the world permission to be honest and vulnerable, because I'm being honest and vulnerable.
And authentic, right? Authenticity. Yeah. Authenticity is your most attractive element, right? So I like that. And then, so what do you do for work? What do you consider your work? How do you get paid, and how do people pay you? That kind of thing.
Yeah. For last 7 years, I've had my own consulting company. So my background was real estate. Sold real estate for 6.5 years, and then ran a real estate company of 200 agents for 5 years. And stepped out of that because management pulled me in different directions. And I feel like my unique abilities are teaching and coaching. So let me speak to the masses and let me disciple a few. Like, let me work on one-on-one with a couple people. So that's what I've primarily done for the last 7 years for income, is coaching real estate agents, small business people. In January, I started a marketing agency, which does what you and I are doing right now, which is helping small business people be consistent with their database in content marketing through a weekly show like this.
Okay. So tell me more about that. So the weekly show, is this, what are you doing for entrepreneurs or influencers? And what do you provide for them? Is this a private show that is used to communicate with just a database, or is this like our show, which is, now it's going out to hundreds of thousands of people and soon to be millions, right?
Right.
So is that, what do you do? I guess, what do you do for them? You set them up with a podcast show, do Zoom interviews, that kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah. It's exactly this. One of the things that the origin of the service was that as I was coaching people, they would buy into relationship-based marketing, but they just wouldn't be consistent. Yeah. Right. And one of the biggest mediums right now is video. Yeah. But most people are afraid to stare into a camera because they don't know what to say, and it's awkward. It doesn't feel authentic. Yeah. So what I realized was that when you're in a conversation, you kind of forget about the camera. And if somebody is good and knows how to ask you questions, they can pull the best stuff out of you. That's and right. Who you are, the energy that comes through the camera, people actually will connect with that. They'll be like, oh, I just really like how you are. And so that's right. What the service does is, as I'm asking you questions, or my team's asking you questions in an interview, you're coming out to the world about, like, authentically, this is who I am and what I'm passionate about. And people get to feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we can't be logical and emotional at the same time. Yeah. Right. So too often, like when we're doing a video for ourselves, we're kind of in logical and emotional world, but where we're going to appeal to the world is when we go to our passion, when we go to our emotion, right? Yeah, so the thing is if one of us can be logical and ask logical, right, blank-faced questions, interesting and interested questions, the other person can be very emotional, right? Can just answer from the heart, be true to themselves, and just answer, right? Just be emotional. So I love that. And so what does that look like for who's your ideal client? Who do you typically like to work with, or who is your ideal client? Sometimes typical and ideal are different. Like in real estate, somebody might say my ideal client is $1 million client who the home is completely updated and they want to sell their house in 2 weeks, right? Yeah. Whereas their typical client might be a $312,000, suburban home with 4 bedroom, 3 bath, and 2 car garage, right? Yep. So what's your typical and what's your ideal client?
So I'll start with ideal. I mean, my ideal client is someone who has this deeper sense of purpose. Like, they have important work. I call it important work. So let's use real estate as an example. It's not, the important work isn't the transaction, and I don't really care what you listed, what you sold, or when your next open house is. Like, right. What I'm interested in facilitating for you is getting your important work into the world. And so real estate may be a way that you make money. It's your tent making way to bring cash into your home, right? But it's not the important work. So I've had real estate agents who are like, well, but I think owning a home is really important work. And I'm like, okay, then if that's the case, then you have to look for the deeper meaning below that, because it's never about the transaction. Right. Does a home represent to you strong families? Then that's the important work. And owning a home, the transaction is just a piece of that. Yeah. So that's a lot. I mean, a lot of what I do is helping people actually put words to their important work. So, okay. That's my ideal client.
Yeah. So how about deliverables, right? So the ideal or typical client, let's say they are, so give me an example, right, of a typical client or an ideal client?
In terms of deliverables, or in terms of what, like who they are?
Just, yeah, like an avatar, right?
Yeah.
So who is that typical person now? And I know you said, we want to get down to the questions, things like that, but who is, if we drew a picture of your typical client right now, what would we draw a picture of? What would they look like?
Yeah. Well, I think they have family. I think there's something about family that just changes you and you think differently about the world and life. So they have a family. They're somewhere between mid 30s to mid 50s, somewhere in that window. And they value relationships. If you listening to this, you're familiar with the DISC profile. Oh, yeah. They are typically going to be I's and S's. They have people orientation because they value relationship. They are inspiring souls. They want to inspire the world. Mm-hmm. That's the beginning of what that avatar looks like.
Yeah, it's great that you know that they're social and outgoing, right? And they're steady and dependable types. The ISC, SIC, and let's make a note to just have a show that's 100% dedicated to DISC. I actually did my master's thesis on DISC.
No way.
And and here's what's interesting is the family unit for DISC. So I'll give you an example. So for people who are new to DISC is a behavioral style, and DISC it breaks the population into basically 4 different groups. One group is the high D, very straight to the point, blunt, very operative around time. Time is don't waste their time. They want things very quickly. They don't wait. They're very impatient. Sometimes they say the wrong thing because they're in a hurry. Then you've got the I's, which are the social and outgoing. They tend to dress very, very colorfully. They are very good socially. They tend to be very impressive people. And yet they can't find their car keys, right? They tend to be a little bit disorganized. They tend to be all over the place, and focus is like what they really want. But they function through people, right? They want to know who, right? And then you've got your S's are your steady and dependable, right? They're the team mom is the S, right? The team dad, the caring, the nurturing. Is everybody okay? Is everybody okay? They like safety. They want security. They live on a cul-de-sac so that their kids can be safe. They're the ones that are looking after the family unit or the team unit, and they have a feel for everyone, right? And whereas the D doesn't care, right? The D is just like go, 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 go. And the team mom, the S, is pulling the others along like, come on, or the team dad. And then the C is the cautious and perfectly accurate type. They are very analytical. They are very slow to make decisions. They want to know how. How does it work? How does this work? And they want to know just how. And they also can frustrate the living crap out of people because they're always asking for more details. Yeah. And they're always detail oriented, which can make them nitpicky. But we need them because they are the engineers. They are the CPAs. They are the accountants. They do the detail work they're the analysts, right? Yeah. Typically they crunch numbers. The mathematicians, the physicists, they are typically have that C component. So here's one thing that's interesting is so out of the following 4 options, how would you best describe yourself, right? Or another way to think about it is how would your spouse, right, or best friend best describe you out of the following 4 options, right? So 1 is straight to the point. 2 is social and outgoing. 3 is steady and dependable. Or are you 4 cautious and perfectly accurate? If you could only pick one, which of those 4 would you be?
Yeah, the second one.
So social and outgoing.
Social and outgoing.
Right, social and outgoing. And so if you had a second moon, right, or a second choice, what would be your second choice?
I think steady and dependable.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense because you just told me that your typical client is social and outgoing and steady and dependable. And isn't it interesting that we tend to attract ourselves, right? We tend to attract people like us. So which makes a lot of sense. You knowing that you should work with IS is actually being true to yourself and being very authentic, right? So how would you describe your wife, right? So straight to the point, social and outgoing, steady and dependable, or cautious and perfectly accurate?
Steady and dependable.
Steady and dependable. What would be her second one? Would it be the super organized or the super get things done? Or the super social?
I would say she's this. It's so funny because you see your wife over 18 years of like different experiences.
Yeah.
In some ways, she's cautious.
Yeah.
In certain ways, and in other ways, she's social and outgoing. When in the right environments, she'll be that.
Yeah. So you have kids stuff, right? Who puts it on the calendar?
My wife.
Yeah. Okay. And is that calendar on a scale of 1 to 10? How organized is it? 1, it would be sloppy, and a 10 would be like nails.
Yeah, it's like 7, 8.
Yeah. So she's got a little bit of a C component, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So secondary C. So now let's talk Tyler, right? Yeah. So what would you consider Tyler? Is he straight to the point, social and outgoing, steady and dependable, or cautious and perfectly accurate?
I would say he's social and outgoing.
Yeah.
Followed by cautious, which is interesting.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And I have to tell you, so he's an IC most likely, right? Yeah. And we're playing with this, so there's going to be some inaccuracies, but it's been pretty dang accurate over 20 years of doing this.
Yeah.
But so he's an IC, which everybody should hire him right now, right? Because an IC is, you can't spell unicorn without IC in the middle. Right. Yeah. He's a unicorn. Mm-hmm. And ICs, all of the combinations are very, very special. SC, IS, very special, right? DI, DS, DC, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But an IC is a unicorn because they are an organized, really impressively social person, right? So they tend to impress people with their organizational and productivity. So they tend to be high achievers, and they're the type of person that you want to hire, right? They're an IC because they're gonna be your business development person. They're gonna be very impressive, right? They're gonna have a 6-pack, you know what I'm saying? and yet they're also going to be very detail oriented, so they don't miss things. They don't, they don't. They also they tend to impress through organizational skills, being more productive, that kind of thing. So that's interesting. And then, so how about Maya? What would you say that she breaks down to?
Yeah, she'd be your steady, stable. She'd lead with that, and then she'd be social and outgoing.
Okay, so SI. So she's steady and dependable and social and outgoing. Yep. Once again, really good combination. Very nurturing and social. Gets along with everybody. Probably has 1,000 friends, but 5 she really hangs out with. Right? Yeah. And so who makes the decisions in the family?
It depends on what the context is.
Yeah, dinner.
Yeah, usually my wife, although my wife now has a job that goes into the evening, so now that falls to me. But, we're all happy for her to default to what does she want. She has more preferences than the rest of us because we're more like, whatever.
Yeah, so you're in the car and you're driving and you guys decide to go to a movie as a family, right? Yeah. So who makes the decision on that? How's that decision done?
That one we'll put to the kids.
Yeah.
Right. If it's a movie.
Yep.
If it's just her and I on a date, it's going to be her because she's not going to want to watch some action flick with me, although she has. But I'll default to what do you want to watch?
Yeah.
And she'll say, let's go watch this.
Okay. So you're defaulting through your IS. You're defaulting to everybody else because you'll go along with whatever, and you don't care as long as the family's together and happy.
Yeah.
Right. So, so how about like major decisions, like on a home, right? Who makes that decision? Who puts their foot down and makes the final decision?
I think it's a 2-part for us. I think one, I typically will throw my hat over the wall. Like, let's go buy a car. Let's go buy a house. Let's go I'll cast some vision. And then it takes a little bit of time for that to sort of seep in.
Yeah.
But then once she's ready to go, I'm like, okay, she's ready to go. So let's go.
Yeah.
So she'll technically make the decision like, okay, let's go do it.
Okay. So her D component comes out sometimes.
Oh,
right. Straight to the point, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's go, right? Somebody's got to say, let's go. In your family, I could see going on a vacation as being painful in the beginning, right? Because everybody's like, there's nobody saying, let's go, right? And then finally somebody breaks and says, let's go.
Oh, it's
right?
My wife. Yeah, it's my wife.
Okay, so your wife is kind of brings out the D, and all this is from my research on DISC. But what you tend to discover is that in a family of 4, you will find a balanced DISC. You will find about the same amount of D and I and S and C within, and we always think that no, our son's going to grow up to be just like us, right? But they're actually more likely to grow up opposite of us. If we're an ID or a DI, then they very likely could be an SC, because what it does is we need all of these elements in our life, right? We need the D, the I, the S, the C, because they help keep us balanced. They help keep us out of trouble. They help keep us safe, right? And so the bottom line is you will see that if there's a team of 4 or a family of 4 or a family of 3, that you will see that the people will somebody will have their room like spick and span, and the other one will have a really messy room.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it's one of the, I'm guessing that she has a room pretty picked up, and no, he's an IC, right?
Yeah.
So his room looks like $1 million, and he can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah.
Right. Because it looked like $1 million.
Yeah.
Right? So, and she's a SI, so her room's a mess.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
No problem, Maya. It's all good.
I know, it's all good. It's all good.
Stay messy, but it's all good. So, I think that was a good kind of a good segue out of the DISC is really powerful. We got to learn that you're an IS and that you tend to attract a lot of ISs. And so, I think a big thing is so I meet a lot of people, right? I'm out speaking quite a bit. How would I know like someone to refer to you? Like what would they say? What would they be doing? What would they have as a problem that would really trigger for me that I need to refer this person to Chris Angel?
Yeah. A couple things. One, from a missional standpoint, there's something that's brewing in them, right? They feel like they're sort of fed up with the status quo. They may have been there and done it in their profession, their industry, their career. They're like, they're coasting.
Yeah.
But it's because they're waiting for the next big thing. They really want their life to have more meaning than what their profession was able to provide. And so that comes out a lot of times with the discontent of how it is. I'm bored. It's not what
I need a spark. I need a spark.
Yeah.
I need some energy. Yeah.
All that.
Okay.
They also, you'd also notice that they just have energy around whether they're frustrated or excited. There's energy that comes through. They're convicted. They have conviction both directions, right?
Yeah.
And the third thing is that they know that there are, actually I'll give you 2 more. They're honest enough about their circumstance that they're willing to look for help. Like they know, okay. And then this is the 4th one. They're not consistent with the stuff they know they need to be consistent with, primarily in marketing, being with their people, et cetera. So they're willing to be honest about that they're not consistent. Like, man, I can't seem to crack that. I don't know what I'm missing. Like, it just doesn't feel right. Actually, they'll use a lot of feeling words. It doesn't feel right.
So it's really maybe not bored, right? This is somebody that maybe has a passion and maybe needs direction. Would that be that kind of person?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't always know what that sounds like. I think you're right. I think I'm great at helping people find direction.
Yeah. Because you were talking about they're convicted, right? Or they're convincing or convinced, right? And that doesn't a lot of times fit with bored. Right.
Yeah. I think the boredom comes from, I only say boredom because it's my own story. Like, I think boredom can come from overwhelm. Like I don't know what to do. And I've tried so many different ways. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit back and I'm going to coast for a while. Yeah. And it's not exactly what I want, but I'm so sick and tired of trying to make it work or try to figure it out and not having to figure it out that I'm just going to coast.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. So when I run into this person, right, and then I see that there's this underlying passion. It hasn't been fulfilled maybe in the avenue that they're on at the time, but there's something there, and they're just finally to that point where they've been honest with themselves and started communicating to themselves that I need more consistency in life. So this might be someone who signs up for our 30 mornings program, right? Because the 30 mornings is the ultimate morning ritual. A lot of the people who sign up for 30 mornings are people who are exactly what you say. They're looking for a spark. They're looking for a swift kick in the backside, but they're all also honest enough to know that they need to be more consistent with their morning ritual. So we give them, specific steps on how to build their ultimate morning ritual. It's not about getting up earlier. It's about getting up better, right? So it sounds like kind of that's your avatar type of person, right? Is that, am I understanding you correctly in what you're attracting and looking for?
Yeah. The only thing I'd add is that there's this element of purpose and vision. Like there's something bigger than themselves. So you could have somebody who's like, well, I know I need to be more consistent in my daily routines and I need to do some stuff, but their vision isn't, I want to go out in the world and make a difference. And those people typically will reach a dead end with me pretty quick because it's just not big enough for me to sink my teeth into.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And then, so when I run into that type of person, how is the best way to refer you? How is the best way for me to deliver that information to you?
Well, you can either message me, right? That's always just like, hey, here's the person. Give me context. This was the conversation. I really think I've teed it up. Like they would love to talk to you. I mean, that's a slam dunk. That's easy.
Okay.
They can also go schedule time on a website, right? Where but a lot of times people won't actually follow through on that. So the handoff is the best.
Okay. So text message or email?
Text is good.
Okay.
Text is better.
Okay. And then, so tell me, about goals, right? What are your goals? What are your goals for this month, or what are your goals for the end of the year, or what are your goals for the next 12 months? Right. So, so what are your goals?
Right now, all my eggs are in the basket called this marketing agency where I help people create these kinds of shows. Yeah. I would say 250 people in this program or this service by 12 months from now is a great goal. That would be awesome. If there are 250 people with important work to put out in the world, that is the groundswell.
So if somebody wants to start a podcast, right, that would be a really good referral for you.
Yep.
Okay. That's good. That's good, because I think we were talking a little bit here and then this is much simpler, right? Yeah. So a way for me to refer somebody to you would be, hey, I'd like to do a podcast like your Referrals podcast. Yep. And I would go, you need to talk to Chris Angel, right? Yep. Right? Not Super Freak, but but Chris Angel, the super. We need to come up with something, right? Yeah. Have you come up with something yet? Super something, right? Yeah. So Chris something that rhymes with freak, and I'm afraid to do it live on the air like this, but it's like the super tweak, right? You need to apply a super tweak, not a super freak, right? That's awesome. So and like, honestly, what is success? Success is not a 180-degree turn, right? We have all these people going around in circles because they're doing 180-degree turn. Success is not a 180-degree turn. Success is a 1-degree tweak, right? It's just a 1-degree tweak. So you could be super tweak, right? So from now on, I think your nickname is Super Tweak. I'm sorry. It's how it works. You got a new nickname.
Super Tweak.
All right. It's better than like Super Geek.
It sounds like a band name, like a 90s.
Yeah, Super Tweak, baby.
Super Tweak.
Remember what was Super Tramp, right? Remember Super Tramp? So you don't want to be Super Tramp, right? Yeah. It's you got Super Freak over here, you got Super Tweak, man.
It's not
you're helping
tweaker. Super Tweaker,
yeah, super
probably.
Tweaker. There you go, Super Tweaker. That doesn't sound
Super
good,
Tweak,
right? Super Beak, right? That's not good. Your nose isn't big enough to claim that one,
well,
right? So Super Leak, you don't want to be that one, right? I mean, Super Leak could be awful, right? I mean, it's like that guy's Super Leak. It's like Super Leaker doesn't even like have it.
Yeah.
Super weak, right? You don't want to be super weak. Your Tyler would hate you for being super weak, right?
Yeah, the wheels are quickly falling off the bus. I don't know.
No, this is good stuff right here. I mean,
Listen, not to be the high C.
All right. So hold on a second. All right. What are your goals? So we talked about your goals, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So your goal is 250 people that are running podcasts in concert with you, right? In 12 months from now.
Yep.
Great goal. And you probably feel like this whole call has been like 20 questions with, Chris Angel. Do you have any questions for me? Like, what questions do you have for me?
Yeah. Like, I love goals. I'm always curious about what other people are building. I'd love to hear what are you building? What are you working on?
Yeah. So lots of things, but one goal that I have with this podcast is that, we're in the top 10 podcast of all podcasts, because I truly believe that the reason that the purpose for people, the purpose in life is to be referable, right? I truly believe that everyone's purpose in life is to be referable, because if you're not, then you're doing something wrong, right? You're either not trustworthy, you haven't developed your character, and that's awful, right? You do not want to live life being not trustworthy, right? And then the next thing is you've got to really be good at something to be referable, right? And my license plate is mastery, right? My Georgia license plate, it says MASTERY. And it's like, that's my life's word. And I truly believe that we need to master something. We need to be really good at something to the point where people come to us for advice about that. It could be being a mom. It could be being a dad. It could be being a baseball player. It could be a baseball coach. It could be podcasting. It could be repeat and referral business. But you need to be great at something. And when you are great at something and you're trustworthy, then you begin to have the elements of referability and being referable. And then the third piece of this too is communication. You need to be able to communicate with people so that they know that you're trustworthy, and that is a part of trustworthiness. But here's the other thing: is also you need to communicate things so that people know that you're competent, right? How do they know if you're competent if you're not communicating that message? And you'll find that the more competent people are, the better they are at communication. The 3 C's of referability are character, competence, and communication. And I believe that, the goal here is that this podcast really could be for anyone to develop themselves personally to be more referable. And the other part of it too is we're attracting a lot of solopreneurs, all the way up to CMO, chief marketing officers, CEOs, that type of major corporations who understand that the reason for a business, the purpose of business, is to have a referable business, right? I mean, build a referable business. Otherwise, what the heck are you doing? And you're like, well, we do quality service. Okay, how many referrals are you getting? Well, none. Well, how quality is your service if nobody's referring you, right? It's like we build good, quality is job one, right? We build great product. Well, how many referrals are you getting? We don't know, or not many. It's like, okay, well, how good is your product if nobody's referring it?
Yeah.
Right. So I truly believe that it's about being referable, and it's about building a referable business. So my goal with this is that we're one of the top 10 podcasts in the world, and we are showing people and communicating with people in a way that shows that, anyone can be referable, and any business can be referable and should be. So that's my goal. But I appreciate you asking. And how's the best way for me or a listener to follow up with you? How would you like me to follow up from this conversation?
Well, you personally?
Yeah.
I would say, well, yeah, I mean, if you run into somebody who sort of fits the descriptions that we talked about today, even if you're just like, it sort of feels like it, totally, I'm open to doing just what I call a discovery call or a clarity call.
Yeah.
So you just we'll just connect me with them, and I'd be happy to do a free complimentary call just to kind of see what they're trying to do and if there's a fit or not.
Yeah. How can I help you? How else can I help you?
This is great. This is a great start. This is awesome. I love it. Thank you for the opportunity and for keeping your eyes open. That's great.
My pleasure. Absolutely. What can I do for you? Anything else?
No, but I wanted to ask you because you were asking me about what a good referral is. I'm curious for you, like, what's a good referral? Because we talked about podcasts as a goal, but like, I don't know how do you get paid? What are you looking for?
Yeah. So let's freeze that thought. right? So let's stop right here, right? And let's look at what happened on this podcast. I will answer your question on the next podcast, but the point, the breakdown of what just happened for the last 30 minutes is so important that that's more important than me answering your very important question, right? So let's step out of the conversation, and now me and you, let's have a conversation like we just watched that conversation. Yeah. Right? Like a helicopter or just as an angel, you can relate to hovering above the conversation. Not that I'll use that name every single podcast in some unique format, but I will. But so what did you get out of that? What did you feel out of that? How did you feel during that conversation, or what was your outcome to that conversation? Right.
Definitely felt known. I think when we started, it was like, what would make this valuable? I definitely feel like not a lot of people ask questions and listen and actually keep digging deeper. So it was good. It was fun to actually go share more without having to have all the right answers, just to have you keep fielding them and asking me more questions really helped clarify over here. Yeah. More what I'm trying to say, which was great.
Yeah. Let's start with that first one, right? Which is, how can we make this conversation the biggest win for you? Yeah. Right. So when I sit down with someone or I have a phone call with someone, I'm always at, how can I make this phone call the biggest win for you? Right. Yeah. And so what's the power of that question? What did that do for you? Right. In the conversation, what did you think or feel, or what's the power of that question? I could have just said, what are your expectations from this call? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Or what are your expectations from this conversation? But instead, the words matter. The question matters is, how do I make this the biggest win for you?
Yeah. I definitely feel like if you had asked it a different way, I would have given you a different answer. Asking me what would make it valuable, maybe I had to second guess like what I would normally say, like my normal patterns of like whatever.
Your elevator speech.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that was good. It got me to think deeper about like, well, what do I really want? I think sometimes we don't always think about what we want. So it got 100%. Me thinking about what I want. Yeah.
That's right. And so then we went through dialogue, right? Which was FROG from 7L, which is family, recreation, occupation, and goals. And we actually went in that order, which doesn't always happen. But did you know I was doing FROG?
I could feel just because I've been in the sales industry for a long time, right? Like I can see rapport building, but it doesn't feel like a scripted thing. It just feels like a conversation.
That's right. And I have to tell you, I think it's because of FROG. I think it's the order of FROG, right? It was family. We talked about it. It's like a good way to just break the ice. And then, recreation. What do you do for fun? What do you do? Yeah. And then occupation. It's like, all right, let's talk about what you do. And it's kind of eases in. And then I said, what are your goals? And I didn't say, what are your goals about family, or what are your goals about your hobby, or what are your goals about business? But you shared a business goal. Yeah. So I know your top priority right now. It's like family. It's good. You're good. You're in a good place, right? Yeah. And it's like recreation, your hobby. It's like, I'm good there. And you didn't even say anything about your physique competition, right? So it's like, but what you said is your answer was about, hey, I want to have 250 podcasts up and running in the next 12 months, right? So it's like, I know what's most passionate and where I can help you the most. Yeah. Right. It's in that. And the other power of what are your goals is that number one is asking somebody their goals. We get a way for us to target our resources, right? We now know how to help. Yeah. Right. I know how to help you. The second thing is those who have goals are better referral sources. So if you ask somebody, hey, what are your goals? And they go, I'm really not into that stuff. Then it's like delete, right? It is like press the parachute and gracefully exit the conversation, right? Yeah. So those who have goals are better referral sources, and those who don't have goals tend to not be as strong a referral sources. Now, are there exceptions to the rule? Yes, but where are you going to pour your time, energy, effort, money? That's good. You're going to pour it into the people who have goals. And then the last thing, which you didn't even know happened, but was works every time, and people wonder why. But it's like so then I said, you probably feel like this is 20 questions. What's a question you have for me? Well, out of all the questions I asked you, what did you ask me? You asked me, what are my goals?
Yep.
Right. Now, I did stop and ask that at that specific time, right? It was frog, and then it was, what are your goals? And then it was, all right, it feels like it's 20 questions. The question I wanted you to ask me was, what are my goals?
Yeah.
Right. So What did I ask you? I asked you about your goals. Well, there's something called question reciprocity. People will tend to ask you the last question that you asked them. Right. But we went further with that, right? I said, how else can I help you? And what else can I do for you? And you said, hey, you're good. You got this. This is good. And then you went to, hey, I want to know more about how to refer you.
Yeah.
Right. So that is how you develop and build a referral relationship, is not asking for referrals. It's when the other person is asking you how they can refer you. And they're asking you about who to refer you. It's when it should be them asking you about referrals, not you asking them for referrals.
Yeah.
And so notice that when we stopped, we were about to get into a heavy, in-depth conversation, a referral conversation about referrals. Right.
So good. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. None of that felt like, forced, contrived, manipulated.
It's because it's not, because it's real.
Right.
It's real.
I love
it's
that.
real. And it's what I believe that it's what you want to be asked, and it gets me where we want to go as well. And it's not contrived. The beauty of the 7L system is people will know you're doing it to them, and they'll love it. Yeah. Right. It's like going to a massage therapist versus a proctologist. Right. It's like, I know what a massage therapist is going to do, and I'm very happy. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And then it's like, it's like, feel, felt, found, right? It's like all these different scripts, they do it to you, and you're like, I'm about to get reamed, I'm about to go to the proctologist here. Yeah. And it's just like with 7L system, it's natural. It's the human approach to sales. And I'm not, I don't want to hijack this referrals podcast with a bunch of stuff on 7L, but it's one of those where it's just like this, if people would play this conversation over and over and over again in their car, and they ran on the treadmill or walked on the treadmill or walked during their morning ritual, and just listen to what we did right there, they would have an MBA or a PhD in relationship building. And I mean, going from relationships to getting referrals. That's what happened in that conversation. And you spoke 80% of the time, and I spoke 20% of the time. Yeah. So, and that's the power of all of this. It's an honest, real conversation where you're interested in finding out more about them. And with a couple of small questions, they are going to be interested in finding out more about how to refer you.
Yeah.
That's it.
Love it. Slam dunk.
That's it.
Love it. So good.
This is the best podcast we've ever done.
Yes. Fire.
So for those of you that have listened all the way up to this point, I want you to know this one's the best. But I have a little secret that I know about number 4. It's even better.
I can't wait.
The next one's even better.
Can't wait.
Next one's even better.
It's going
to be so good.
Well, Michael, people want to sort of connect with the Referrals podcast. They want to connect with you. They want to get show notes, all that stuff. Where can they go? Yeah, referralspodcast.com. Doesn't that just make sense, right? Go to Referrals with an S podcast. This is not about referral. This is about referrals, right? Yes. Multiple referrals, not about one a year, right? This is about dozens a month, hundreds a month. Where do you want to go with it? It's about referralspodcast.com, referralspodcast.com. I love it. There's all sorts of goodies there at referralspodcast.com. Michael, thank you for a great conversation. Thank you. My pleasure. Yeah. It was great to get to know you better, honestly. Tyler, Maya, the wife, I loved learning all about your family. It was awesome. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Well, great episode. I can't wait for number 4 now that you've teased that out. And for those of you guys between now and then, go to referralspodcast.com, and we will see you in the next episode.